we cannot, sit down and rest a little bit. The 2020 calendar is up and getting filled in. And so if you know of community-wide events, let me know if they should be on our website, our Facebook, on our handouts. Let us know. That would be great.
One thing, Kyle, and we've talked, I've had so many good comments about the fireworks and that. It was on Facebook or something, even people were in Mill Street and from out of town and saw this and said they'll be back next year.
Yeah.
I mean, this really turned out to be a big thing for our city.
They were beautiful. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was the same contractor that is for the Cannon Valley Fair.
But it's almost like I think the colors were different because it was winter. I don't know. It felt
It's the
different.
snow.
Oh, there we go.
When they reflect off the snow, and we also had some little flurries coming,
Yeah. Okay.
that just makes the fireworks that much
That
better.
makes sense. But they were beautiful.
Yeah, for all the people there, plus all the people viewing them from their houses, if you figure that in too.
Yes.
You know, that was a lot of
Yes.
people.
And I've heard from people who live at least 3 blocks away that they could see the fireworks
Yes.
at their home. And so I really appreciate everyone letting me know that you really like it. And yes, we're going to work at getting them back again next year. So thank everybody. I do appreciate all of your help and support. And if you have any other questions, I can answer them.
It was a nice parade, good crowds. I think the retailers were happy and topped it off with the fireworks. That was nice.
Absolutely, yes. I've been hearing from the retailers in regards to Shop Small, and they were busy on Saturday. And that's wonderful to hear. I mean, that's the point of Deck the Falls. And so I was glad to hear they were busy and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go around the horn. Greg, you got anything tonight?
So, in the consent agenda, you approved the PAYAP 7 for the East Side 2 project, which was 2018 project. We had punch list stuff we went through, and they buttoned up this spring and got it done. Now, this was not the final pay application. I did reduce retainage to 1%. Pretty much everything that he did is in there, but it did not close the project out. And if you remember at the last meeting, I mentioned the one issue we still had to consider was the driveway at the west end of Mill Street
Oh,
that goes
yeah.
up the hill.
Oh, yes.
This is obviously a pre-project photo because everything's nice and green.
Right.
But, so the driveway before was concrete to a point, and then it was blacktop out to the cul-de-sac. Now the cul-de-sac is done with curb and gutter around it. We've got concrete from the curb back, and then we replaced one section or so of his driveway. This section now is steeper than the driveway was before, but it is not as steep as other parts of his driveway farther up the driveway. He came to Public Works, I believe, last fall with a question about it. Looked at it with Mike while he was still here. I just don't see an option other than redoing pretty much the whole cul-de-sac to make it noticeably better, if at all, by anything we would have done, just because of the fact that his driveway comes down at such an angle. If you look and you see this little dark rectangle here, this is a storm drain that drains somewhere up on his property. I think he's got some retaining walls here that came out through his driveway and onto the cul-de-sac. As part of the project, we redirected that out the side of his driveway to a pipe in the grass. So while this end of the driveway may be a little bit steeper, I think we did do an improvement to it, and I have not heard, and I know before Mike had left, he had not heard back from him if there continue to be issues or not. So my question to the council is, working with Wenzel, the contractor, he would rather not keep the contract open till spring. It affects his bonding for projects next spring. He would like to close it out. The thinking of leaving it open as if we were going to do something, it could fall under the project funds. If the council's amenable, he would like to put together his final, the contractor that is, final paperwork for final payment and close the project out, starting the warranty. And what it does, it just kind of ends where we are on the project itself. Obviously, we have warranty on, like I said before, the trees. And if we were having an issue with a hydrant or a manhole or a pipe, obviously that's under warranty too. It's just any of the work left for him to do in the punch list is done, with the exception of any input on this driveway.
What do you think? Do you think they're going to come back, or I mean, is the dollar amount that we would spend on a fix significant enough to keep the project open?
I just don't know if we'd make it that much better than it is now.
Right.
Without
Right.
redoing a
There'd have to be
significant
a-
portion of that cul-de-sac.
When we talked with him at Public Works, he has a very similar problem to what I do on my home driveway, because the road goes down. Yeah, sometimes when you back out or drive out, you
bottoms out.
bottom out, and you just got to be careful about it. I know I am all the time coming out of my own driveway with a similar type of angles involved.
Well, it does look like you did a definite improvement though, because instead of making the cul-de-sac icy, or wet, you're at least putting it out into the grass. I think
I'm not
that's-
sure how he maintains that driveway as clear as he does in the winter without sliding down it, but he got it figured out. So the issue, I think, is that the old cul-de-sac never had curb, and they probably just kind of patched and overlaid out into the cul-de-sac a little bit to kind of create a ramp, if you will. Now we've kind of delineated the outside of the cul-de-sac with curb and gutter. The driveway's almost 2 lanes wide, if you will. The north half is not as steep as the south half, so my guess is by driving, like Mr. Duncan said, a certain way in and out of the driveway, and his vehicles must have clearance where it hasn't been a continuing issue that we've heard.
Okay.
Well, I would say to close out the contract, I don't know of a way that we can do that. I mean, financially responsible anyhow to make it so it's perfectly, I don't even think
Yeah.
you can make it perfectly smooth. It's just too much of a,
But if there is something to be done, we can address it later. I don't think it's worth holding the project open.
no.
Okay,
I don't personally.
thank you.
Unless anyone else got,
No. I think it's reasonable.
All right, that is all.
Right.
Thank you.
thanks, Greg.
Do we approve that final?
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
do you
next
want us to
meeting?
do that or next meeting?
It might, I won't have it back at the next one. He has to get his consent assured and some
Oh.
paperwork from
Okay.
all of his subs, so it'll probably be the
January.
January meeting.
So you'll wait until,
Yeah.
okay.
He was just thinking ahead to bonding for projects in the spring. I think having a bond on the project that's 2 years old may impact his capacity to bond on future projects. And we had a good experience with him. He had a good experience with the city. He'd definitely be back bidding on projects in town when we do them again, so.
Good.
I think it went well.
Okay. Thank you.
It was good.
Nicole?
Well, I don't really have a whole lot to report. I haven't really publicized it, but I'm continuing the Balance and Strength Fit Fridays through December. I initially wasn't going to because I was going to have surgery on my foot yesterday, but that's been put off till January 6th. So I can teach the balance and strength. It is specifically for seniors, so that because, we're getting into iciness and falling, and it's more for fall prevention than anything else. So really working on building your stability muscles and your core and figuring out how to keep your balance so that when you hit the ice, you don't go crashing. Part of it is also learning how to get up from a fall. One of these days, I'm going to get a really good gymnastics mat and teach people how to fall. But
Wow.
I just need a bigger car. So, but yeah, Fridays at noon, if you want to learn some balancing exercises that you can do at home and keep it up, then I'm here for you. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
This week, Thursday, we have Coffee Cops and Conversation at 10:30 at the bakery. And Wednesday, the 11th, we have Triad at 10 o'clock at the CCC. That's all I got.
Linnell? Dave?
The period has closed for applications for the utility billing clerk, and we received 20 applicants for that position. And Michelle's going through the pointing now, and I would expect that there's a pretty significant number of good, qualified, capable candidates who made applications. So we would hope to start interviewing candidates next week on that. Speaking of Novel Energy, we've been working with them on providing Xcel Energy with fairly detailed records of all of our electrical connections and use records in Cannon Falls so that we can proceed with final details with Xcel Energy and Novel on our subscription agreement. In fact, they'll be in town again tomorrow, so that's moving forward. And I'd be remiss if I wouldn't thank all of the departments for their help on the budget. As Linnell said, it's been a few months in process here, starting probably late May, even June, when we started this process. And thanks to the council, too, for the additional workshops and the time that you committed. But special thanks to Linnell. This has been several months of pretty significant work for her and the different alternatives and the moving targets on not just the budget expenditures, but also the revenues and the levies. So I want to especially thank Linnell for this, too.
Thank you.
That's all.
Steve,
Nothing.
Matt, Bill,
Nothing.
Derek,
Nothing.
Mary Jo,
Lots of nothing.
Morris. Well, I got a few things. Like to comment, Public Works did an excellent job on that storm. Couple storms, actually, and did a good job of cleaning up the streets. That was a good job. Again, thanks to Linnell and the department heads for this budget process. It was hard on us all, and we're through it. And I like what happened. Cooperation between everybody, and everybody cut a little bit and then worked out. We had this noon. We had a employee appreciation luncheon here. We handed out some. What should I say, awards for years of service to the city. I'm just going to mention the people we gave awards to today. Tony Hahn for 5 years of service. Sulu, how do you pronounce his last name? Kira Sulu for 5 years of service. Ted Hargers, 10 years of service. Lola Myers, 10 years of service. Michelle Sandine, 15 years of service. Chuck Weedom, 15 years of service. Chuck Peterson, 20 years of service. And Judy Miller at the library, 30 years of service. They got a chamber dollar for every year they gave to the city, so we appreciate all the time that they've given us, and as you can see, we've got some longtime employees here, but thanks to them, they make the city.
I do.
I was also going to mention, and maybe I should address it to you, Joe, about snowbirds. I thought I saw an awful problem trying to plowing here the other day. There was a lot of cars on the street.
I think we only had two, with the exception of the last time that they plowed because of the timing of the snow. They were plowing, I think, more towards the early morning into the daytime when cars are allowed to be on the street. So definitely we coordinate that with Tony and Wes. You know, they give us a head notice, but it's difficult. The first storm, it came overnight. So they said, well, we'll just come in and start. Because as we saw, at 2 inches an hour, yep, it had to be done. In the past, sometimes we get missed, and then we're okay too. But that's why we try to post on our social media, giving people as much a head notice to get the cars off the street so that they don't have to be towed. So I think we only did two. And then there was one other one that got past us, but they ended up getting a ticket, and I think they got moved, and I don't know if it got cleaned up or not, but.
Very good. Okay, that leads us to public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the record, and kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comments must be respectful, pertinent to city business, and adhere to the applicable data privacy rules. The City Council will not take action on any issue raised by the public, but may choose to schedule consideration of the item at a future agenda. Is there anybody who'd like to talk to public input? We'll open the public hearing. Public input? Whatever. It's open. Public input. Third and final call, public input. Hearing none, we'll close the public input. And I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second Morris. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Carried.